Welcome to our deep dive into the world of dream psychology.
Okay.
We're going to be cracking open Dream Psychology by Sigmund Freud.
All right.
It's a book that, well, I mean, it really kind of revolutionized how people thought about dreams over a century ago.
Yeah, definitely a foundational text.
You've shared some articles and notes that show that you're really interested in not just, what we dream, but like why.
Right.
So we're going to unpack some of Freud's ideas and see how they connect to our everyday lives.
Yeah, sounds good.
So one of the things that struck me when I was reading Dream Psychology was how, like, Freud was writing at a time when dreams were considered meaningless,
Mm-hmm.
just like random firings in the brain.
Yeah, just noise.
But he's like, no, there's something more to this.
Exactly.
And through his, like, careful observation of his patients' dreams, he started to find all these connections between what they dreamt and their waking lives.
Yeah, what's really interesting is that he started to notice these consistent links between the content of the dreams and the dreamer's experiences, like in the preceding day.
Yeah, so it's like he's making this argument that our dreams aren't just arbitrary, they're actually, like, telling us something. Right?
Exactly.
And then he comes up with this, groundbreaking theory that dreams are a form of wish fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of a hard one to wrap your head around because he's talking about even the unpleasant dreams, even nightmares.
Right.
So are you saying that, like, even a nightmare could be fulfilling a wish?
Well, it's not always about our conscious desires.
Okay.
Freud argued that dreams often tap into our unconscious wishes, so these are hidden desires that we may not even be aware of or admit to ourselves.
So like a part of us that we don't even know is there is kind of like driving these dreams.
Yeah, precisely.
Okay.
And he actually analyzes one of his own dreams in the book to illustrate this.
Oh, interesting.
It's a dream about a dinner party where a woman, touches his knee and compliments his eyes.
Okay, and so what's the hidden wish there?
Well, in the context of the dream, he kind of connects it back to these feelings of being overlooked by his wife at a recent dinner in real life.
Ah, interesting.
So the dream then becomes a way for his unconscious to kind of experience this attention and admiration that he might be craving but not getting in his waking life.
So it's like the dream is compensating for something that's missing. Right?
Exactly.
And this leads us to like another, I think, really key takeaway from Freud, this idea of the importance of the unconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a bit more about that?
Yeah, so this is basically that realm of thoughts and feelings and desires that operate outside of our conscious awareness.
So like there's a whole other world going on under the surface
Precisely, yeah.
that's kind of exciting and a little bit scary at the same time.
Right.
Like what else is lurking down there?
Exactly. And that's kind of the allure of dream psychology. It's
Yeah.
this exploration into the unknown. But to kind of navigate this world, we need to understand the language of dreams. And that's where Freud's concept of these dream mechanisms comes in.
Yeah, I've come across terms like symbolism, displacement, condensation.
Mhm.
They sound a bit technical.
Yeah, they are basically the tools that our minds use to disguise the true meaning of dreams.
Okay.
So think of it as a way to make those unconscious wishes more palatable to our conscious minds.
So like our mind is playing a game of hide and seek with itself.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
So let's break it down, like starting with symbolism.
Okay.
So Freud believed that objects and actions in dreams often represent something else entirely.
Right.
And often this has to do with sexuality, right?
Yeah, because of the powerful and often repressed nature of sexuality, especially in society at the time, he believed that it was likely to find expression in these disguised forms in our dreams.
Okay, so like a dream about a train going through a tunnel, it's not really about transportation.
Not necessarily, no. Freud might interpret the train as a phallic symbol and the tunnel as a representation of female genitalia.
Okay, so it sounds like it's not as simple as just looking up symbols in a dream dictionary.
No, absolutely not.
There's more to it.
Context is key, so not every train or tunnel in a dream has a sexual meaning.
Right.
The interpreter needs to consider the individual's personal associations, their cultural background, and just the overall context of the dream.
Right, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we have displacement.
Right.
So this is the one where the focus of the dream shifts to something that seems kind of insignificant to mask its true meaning.
Yeah, it's often emotionally charged, that true meaning.
Right, so Freud talks about this patient who dreamt about arguing with a cook.
Mm-hmm.
But the cook was actually representing Freud himself.
Right.
So it's like this roundabout way of expressing anxiety about their therapy sessions.
Exactly. Yeah.
So the dream is kind of redirecting those feelings onto a safer target.
Precisely.
Okay, and finally we have condensation. So this is the one where it's like packing a whole suitcase into a tiny handbag.
You got it.
So you're combining multiple thoughts, feelings, or wishes into a single dream image or event.
Mm-hmm.
So Freud gives that example of a woman who's searching for very specific foods in her dream.
Right.
And that actually represents anxieties about money, her desire for certain delicacies, and even her relationship with her husband.
All in one, yeah.
It's amazing how the mind can weave together so many different threads into a single dream image like that.
It is, and understanding these mechanisms gives us a deeper appreciation for just the complexity and creativity of the unconscious mind.
Yeah, I'm already seeing my dreams in a whole new light.
Right.
This is fascinating.
It is.
But before we go any further, I
Yeah.
think we need to add one more piece to this puzzle, and that's this idea of the censor.
Mm-hmm.
What is that exactly?
So think of it like a vigilant guard at the gates of consciousness,
Okay.
and it's constantly filtering and redirecting those unacceptable impulses. Even during sleep, this sensor is somewhat active, which is why dreams often employ those mechanisms that we just discussed to disguise their true meaning and slip past the sensor.
So the dream is trying to outsmart the censor.
Essentially, yeah.
There's quite a battle going on in our minds while we sleep.
Indeed it is, and sometimes the dream manages to sneak something past, revealing a glimpse of those hidden desires or anxieties.
Wow, okay, so we've laid the groundwork, we've explored the core concepts, wish fulfillment, the unconscious mind, those sneaky dream mechanisms.
Right.
Now I want to see these ideas come to life through some actual dream examples.
Let's do it.
So the next part, we'll delve into some specific dream interpretations from Freud's book and really see these mechanisms in action.
Sounds good.
All right, join us for part 2 where we unpack even more of the fascinating insights from dream psychology.
Okay, see you then. Welcome back to our deep dive into Freudian dream psychology.
So last time, we laid the groundwork, right? We explored those core concepts, wish fulfillment, the unconscious mind, and those sneaky dream mechanisms.
Exactly, and now we're going to get to see those ideas kind of come to life through some actual dream examples.
Yes, let's dive into those interpretations.
It's like getting a backstage pass to the human psyche.
Mm-hmm.
Even though these dreams are from like over a century ago, the desires and anxieties that they reveal are like, they're still so relevant today.
Absolutely. So one theme that Freud kind of explores is dreams about children.
Right.
And that seems a little counterintuitive to the idea of wish fulfillment,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it involves like a child's death.
Right, and this is where we have to remember that unconscious wishes aren't always aligned with our conscious, like socially acceptable desires, right?
Yeah.
So he analyzes this dream from a woman who she had a child like 15 years prior,
Okay.
and in the dream, she saw her child dead in a small box.
That imagery is so jarring, it's hard to imagine that as reflecting a wish.
Exactly, but the analysis revealed this like long forgotten anxiety that she had about motherhood
Okay.
and like a repressed wish that the child hadn't survived. And these feelings actually stemmed from difficulties she faced at the time of the child's birth. So it was like a wish that she had consciously rejected,
Right.
but it remained like buried in her unconscious.
So the dream wasn't a literal desire for her child's death, but it was more about reflecting those past anxieties
Precisely, and perhaps a wish for a different outcome, right?
during a very specific time.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It highlights how dreams can offer these glimpses into emotional states that we may have moved on from consciously but still linger in our own conscious.
Right, like little ghosts from the past.
Exactly.
Okay, well, another common dream theme that I know I've experienced, and I think a lot of people have, are dreams about flying or falling.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What's Freud's take on those?
So he connects these dreams to childhood experiences of being tossed in the air by a parent.
Okay.
But what's really fascinating is that the pleasure associated with those games can be re-experienced in the dream, even if the content of the dream involves like fear or danger.
So even though falling in a dream can feel terrifying, it could actually be tapping into a positive feeling from childhood.
Exactly, yeah.
That's so interesting.
It's a great example of how like the emotional tone of a dream is just as important as the literal events.
Right, so it's not just about what you see, it's about how you feel.
Exactly.
Okay, well, speaking of emotions, dreams about being naked in public can evoke these intense feelings of shame and vulnerability.
For sure.
What's going on there?
So Freud connects these dreams to a time in childhood when being naked wasn't associated with shame.
Okay, yeah.
So the anxiety in the dream then arises from this clash between this like childhood freedom and our adult awareness of social expectations.
So it's like the dream is kind of pulling back the curtain on how societal norms shape our feelings.
Exactly. And perhaps revealing a longing for a time when we were less self-conscious,
Yeah.
like when we were just running around naked as kids.
Totally. Okay, well, this is all fascinating. It's amazing how these seemingly random dream images can be connected to these deeper psychological concepts. But I think we have to address the elephant in the room, or maybe I should say the phallic symbol in the room.
Right.
It seems like Freud saw sexual symbolism everywhere.
Well, it's true that this is one of the most controversial aspects of his work, but his reasoning was that because sexuality was such a powerful and often repressed drive in society at the time, it's likely to find expression in disguised forms in our dreams.
So the censor's working overtime
Exactly.
to keep those desires hidden, which then leads to all these symbolic representations.
Precisely.
Okay, I remember reading about how objects that are long and narrow, like sticks or umbrellas, could represent the phallus. It all felt a bit like I was reading a secret code.
Yeah, and containers, such as boxes or rooms, could symbolize the womb.
What?
Activities like climbing, riding, or flying could also have sexual interpretations.
So it's like our dreams are speaking in metaphors, and we need to learn how to translate them.
Exactly. But again, it's not just about memorizing a dream dictionary.
Right.
Freud also emphasized the importance of understanding the dreamer's personal associations with these symbols.
So what might be a sexual symbol for one person could have a completely different meaning for someone else.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
The interpreter needs to consider the individual's life experiences, their cultural background, and their personal interpretations.
It sounds like dream interpretation is more of an art than a science.
It is. It's a process of discovery and understanding, not just a matter of finding the right answer.
And it seems like the more you delve into Freudian dream psychology, the more layers of meaning you uncover.
That's what makes it so compelling.
Absolutely.
It's this never-ending journey of exploration into the depths of the human mind.
Okay, well, this is all incredibly insightful, but I can't help but wonder if some of Freud's interpretations, especially around sexual symbolism, might be a product of his time. Like, is it possible he was projecting some of his own cultural biases onto his patients' dreams?
That's a valid question, and I think it's important to approach Freud's work with a critical lens,
Yeah.
While his theories were groundbreaking, some of his specific interpretations have been debated and reinterpreted over time.
So we shouldn't take everything he says as gospel.
Exactly. It's crucial to remember that dream interpretation is not an exact science,
Well,
It's more about exploring possibilities and gaining insights into our own, unconscious processes.
right. So even if we don't agree with all of Freud's interpretations, his work still provides this valuable framework for understanding dreams.
Absolutely. He gave us a new language to talk about the unconscious and its influence on our waking lives.
And that's a legacy that continues to shape our understanding of the human mind today.
Precisely.
This has been a fascinating exploration so far, and I'm curious to kind of connect Freud's ideas to modern psychology
Okay.
and explore what practical takeaways we can actually glean from all this.
That's a great segue into our next discussion.
Oh.
We'll kind of bridge the gap between Freud's era and the present and explore how his work continues to influence therapy and our understanding of human behavior.
Sounds intriguing. Join us for part 3, where we'll bring it all together and explore what Freudian dream psychology means for us today. See you then. Welcome back to our deep dive into Freudian dream psychology.
We've explored some fascinating territory.
We have.
From wish fulfillment to that symbolism that kind of lurks in our dreams.
It's amazing how much Freud packed into this one book,
Right.
Dream Psychology.
It's dense.
It is, and it's not just about interpreting dreams.
Right.
It feels like his ideas have these implications for understanding human behavior as a whole.
Yeah, that's a key point.
Okay.
I mean, Freud's emphasis on the unconscious really revolutionized psychology. I mean, he challenged this idea that we're always rational and in control of our thoughts and actions.
So you're saying we're not always the masters of our own minds?
Not entirely, no. Freud argued that much of our behavior is driven by these unconscious forces.
Okay.
Things that we're not even aware of.
So like there's a puppet master behind the scenes,
Kind of,
pulling the strings.
And those strings can manifest in different ways.
Right.
Dreams, slips of the tongue.
Oh, yeah.
Even neurotic symptoms.
So all these things could be seen as expressions of these hidden desires and conflicts.
Exactly.
It's humbling to think that there's so much happening beneath the surface, shaping our thoughts and actions.
It can be, yeah.
Okay.
It can be a bit unsettling too, but I think it can also be liberating.
Oh, how so?
Well, it kind of takes the pressure off, like
Right.
this idea that we need to be perfect all the time.
Right.
We're complex beings,
Yeah.
driven by a mix of conscious and unconscious motivations.
I like that perspective.
Yeah.
It makes me think about all those times when I've acted in ways that didn't make sense,
Mm-hmm.
even to myself.
Yeah.
And maybe those were just like these glimpses of the unconscious at work.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's where I see the value of understanding Freud's work.
Yeah.
It gives us this framework for making sense of those seemingly irrational moments.
Exactly. By recognizing the influence of the unconscious,
Okay.
we can gain this greater self-awareness
Mhm.
and potentially make more conscious choices in our lives.
So it's not just about interpreting dreams. It's about using those insights to better understand ourselves.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is all incredibly insightful, but I'm curious how Freud's ideas, which were developed like over a century ago, hold up in modern psychology.
Sure.
Are therapists still using his methods today?
Well, some of Freud's specific interpretations, especially around sexual symbolism, have been debated and reinterpreted over time.
Right.
But his core concepts, like the importance of the unconscious, the role of dreams in understanding our inner world,
Yeah.
those remain really influential.
So even if we don't take everything Freud said as like literal truth, his work still provides this valuable foundation for exploring the human psyche.
Absolutely. And many therapists today.
Even those who don't like strictly adhere to Freudian theory
Yeah.
still use dream analysis as a tool to help patients explore their thoughts and feelings,
Right.
their motivations.
So it's a testament to the enduring power of his ideas.
It is, for sure.
Okay, let's bring it all home.
Okay.
What's the takeaway for our listener?
All right.
What can they do with all this knowledge about dreams and the unconscious?
Well, I think the first step is simple. Pay attention to your dreams.
Okay.
Keep a dream journal by your bed and jot down as many details as you can remember as soon as you wake up.
Okay, so no dream is too insignificant to record.
Exactly. It's all valuable data for understanding your own unique unconscious landscape.
So like a dream database.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and once you've recorded those dreams, what then?
Okay.
Should we all become amateur Freudian analysts?
You don't need to be an expert.
Yeah, okay.
You can start by simply reflecting on those dreams,
Got it.
asking yourself, what emotions did I feel in the dream?
Are there any recurring themes?
Okay.
Symbols?
Yeah.
Does the dream connect to any recent experiences
Okay.
or unresolved conflicts in my waking life?
So it's like having a conversation with your unconscious mind.
Precisely. And over time,
Yeah.
you might start to notice these patterns and insights that can help you better understand yourself.
Okay.
And if you're struggling to make sense of your dreams or feeling stuck in unhealthy patterns, seeking professional guidance from a therapist trained in dream interpretation can be incredibly helpful.
Okay, so whether you approach it as a personal journey of self-discovery
Right.
or seek professional help,
Yeah.
Freudian dream psychology offers valuable tools for understanding the human mind.
It does. And it all starts with paying attention to those nightly adventures
Yeah.
in the theater of our minds.
I think we've given our listeners a lot to chew on today.
Right.
This deep dive has certainly made me want to start paying closer attention to my own dreams.
There's a whole universe of meaning waiting to be discovered in those nocturnal landscapes.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive into Freudian dream psychology.
Yeah.
We hope you've enjoyed the journey.
Sweet dreams.